What's going on, Omnibuddies? Mitch here, and today we are doing another overview. What are we looking at? Well, we are looking at a book by Jason Yungbluth. You may not have ever heard of this book. Actually, I'd venture a guess that the vast majority of you all have not heard of this book. It is Weapon Brown. All right, so actually, it's not just one book we're doing an overview on today and we're actually looking at two books. And we have the first book, Weapon Brown, and we have the second book, Weapon Brown Aftershock. Both of these were in fact Kickstarters. I know I do a ton of Kickstarters on here, but actually Weapon Brown, the first one, and actually I believe both of them are still available via trade paperback. If you can't find Aftershock, which just came to me maybe a couple months ago, I know Weapon Brown is available in trade paperback. It is very hard to find the hardcover. In fact, I think I may have been the one to purchase the very last hardcover that Jason had in stock. So, and actually I got mine signed and remarked in here. So we'll take a look at that a little bit in a little bit. But basically what this is, Weapon Brown, and you might kind of get an idea of what it's about just from the front cover, but it is a dark, gritty, not necessarily horror. As of making this video, it's Halloween time, October, Spooktober, Witchtober, whatever you want to call it. So I've been doing some scary books, not a ton, but this definitely fits in with the gruesome, gory, offsetting books because it's more of a like what is like if Charlie Brown was a crazy mercenary murderous character in a post-apocalyptic world, would he be Weapon Brown? And that's kind of taking a look at this, and it is nutty and gory and crazy and really interesting and fun too. So you know what, let's stop talking about it, let's take a look at it. All right, so here we have Weapon Brown. This is the hardcover edition. Again, very out of print and hard to find, but you can get the trade paperback edition way easier, so make sure to check that out. And we do actually have Aftershock here. This is the kind of post story, kind of almost wraps it, doesn't really wrap it up, it just adds a little bit to the mythos. So not necessary, but definitely an interesting read. We'll get to that in a little bit. Actually, we'll keep that over here real quick. We'll kind of show the spines of them. And these come to us from Death Ray Graphics, which is, I believe, Jason Yungbluth's self-publishing publisher kind of a thing, what he's publishing under. So that was the spines, and here we have just the back covers, a little bit of a moonish country. It looks like the moon, but it's not. Anyways, and then here we have the back side of things, and yeah, so definitely super cool. Let's put that off to the side here. And let's unwrap this guy real quick. So you got a nice little foil emboss, the spine, whatever that's called. So definitely kind of describes what's happening. The funny pages have been weaponized with Chuck, the hard-bitten, hard-hitting ex-super soldier scratching out a living amongst the ruins of a crap sack future. Yeah, so that definitely is a good description of it. Yeah, and then I was able to get a nice little signed, remarked piece here, the special unremarkable edition, and little remark there. And I asked him if he would put the edition number as 0 out of 0, and I realized when I got that it just looks like a percentage, but you know what, it makes me happy. It's pretty funny. Anyways, so let's get into this. Let's get that out of the way. Weird shadow. Anyways, so we have really nice jumping into it, Weapon Brown. And I will say this is all black and white. So, you know what? There you go. And this has a ton, I'll say this has a ton of extra stuff going on if you're reading extra things behind it. So, got a preface in here, and then it just goes into it. And this gets gory and strange and weird, and definitely you just got to go along for the ride on this one. So it was a sunny afternoon when they came, the birds that laid black eggs. So basically, it's, you know, the apocalypse. Everything's nuked, everything's crazy, and Weapon Brown, or, this kid, Chuck, Charlie, becomes Weapon Brown. And it kind of becomes, I will say there's some nudity in here, so fair warning, I'll try and skip over some of it, but you know what, never know. So you basically get thrown right into it with the first section, A Peanut Scorned. And if you don't know a lot of the Charlie Brown, I'll say the mythos, but that's what I've used before here. But if you don't know a lot about the Peanuts as a whole, you might miss out on some things. There is a glossary kind of index in the back that points out a ton of the Easter eggs, peanuts, and a little points out some of the peanuts. I don't know. Seems more apropos than saying Easter eggs, but anyways, so you meet Chuck and you meet his dog, his faithful dog, and they are out on this crazy adventure, and he is a one-man absolute killing machine, and you learn about why he is the way he is and what happened a little bit in his backstory, and where he is now. And so I was kind of thrown at the beginning with this book. I had no idea what I was getting into. I just heard it was insane and it was an interesting concept, so I picked it up, and it kind of threw me for a loop when I first grabbed it. But man, this book is absolutely violent, and he definitely is a peanut scorned, and you get crazy monsters, radiation monsters, and crazy mutated people in this kind of Mad Max tank girl Fury Road thing, Judge Dredd can't stop him kind of a situation going on. And it's crazy. I cannot fathom how Jason came up with this story. And yeah, but it definitely, you get a lot with your story too. There is a ton of dialogue and a ton of narration, almost this like noir narration along the way. And he's fighting all these, mythic beasts and crazy mutants. And there's kind of these overarching capitalism and dictatorships and all these kinds of things, and they're trying, they got weird science mixed with mysticism, and just everything's mixed together, and it kind of pokes fun of everything. And so you see all kinds of characters coming up out of nowhere, like from the funny pages, and it pulls no punches with anything. And he's got this big Weapon Brown, Chuck, whatever you want to call him, has this big nuclear powered arm that just can destroy everything. And who is he without his arm, and all this kind of craziness. So he gets pulled into a big mess between warring factions, between the possible future government and the rebellion, the underground rebellion kind of a thing. And why does he serve a purpose other than to just be a killing machine? And can he do anything besides kill? And can he kill, and does he just kill indiscriminately, or does he have a real reason? And does he have a good solution to the world's problems? And he's got his He's got his faithful dog with him, and he's got, does he have friends? Does he not have friends? Who can he trust? Does anyone in this world really deserve to be trusted, and can they be trusted? And really interesting situations where the first, I want to say about a third of the book is him, kind of the setup, getting him set up as the character and him on the road. And then the last probably 2/3 of the book happens where he's kind of stuck between these two warring factions and what's gonna, how that all can actually play out. But a lot of it does come back into play too. So it's not just from, setting him up as a character, but that backstory really does give a lot of context to what's actually going to happen. And you meet so many cool characters and crazy characters from, like the Sunday morning newspaper, funny sections, and just really cool play on how these characters, that we all grew up with loving and being so, more or less innocent, and then all of that innocence just being completely stripped away and just ultra violent and just off the wall, like cannot it's, oh man, it's just nuts. I'm trying not to show too much and talk too much about it, because there's a lot of really cool, like, oh no way they brought that character into this. So I'm also trying to skip over some of that stuff. And really cool characterization, very, very interesting art style. I love his use of like just stark black and white, just thick colors. It's got kind of this Frank Miller's Sin City kind of a look to it at some points, where, with these just crazy profiles and deep shadows and all of that. So kind of picked up some of that feel for me, but he also has just a lot of crazy detail. So it mixes and matches with that quite a bit. Really cool kind of road trip stuff. And then at the end, it's got a little bit of a holiday special situation, which, with Charlie Brown, they always have those holiday specials. And just talking a little bit more about just having some fun with it, and just kind of some interesting things going on. And then, we got the sketchbook gallery, and yeah, man, this stuff's really interesting and just crazy. Like, if you follow his Instagram at all, you might know his just off the wall art, but if you don't, this is all new to you. Good luck. Very, very interesting. Yeah, so a lot of plays off of those old papers, excuse me, and tunes and shows and all of that. Really cool stuff. Really cool pinup gallery type stuff. And then here's the annotations. Page 19, Frankie is holding my favorite unused weapon of the story. Page 64, 2 things I strive to include as often as possible throughout Weapon Brown are reveals of never before answered questions and spoofs of classic gags. So lots of really cool stuff. I mean, tons of stuff on, like, not every page, but very thorough. And then, like I said before, this was a Kickstarter, so he's got the acknowledgments in there, and then boom, boom, and there's our Jason right there. A little bit about the author at the end, and then that is the end of Weapon Brown. And then let's bring in Aftershock real quick and talk about that. So this was also a Kickstarter, and sadly it wasn't a hardcover, but you know what? Oh well. So he kind of decided to revisit it a little bit, and you basically get what is talking about the legend of Weapon Brown the entire time. And it's people sitting around a campfire sort of a situation, and they are sharing stories about what they've heard of the legendary Weapon Brown. And as you can see from this one, there is some red in here. I don't think there was any other color in here, but it is just as violent, just as gory. And then it's just really funny seeing like the different takes on Weapon Brown, because he's, people are telling him from hearsay and, third, they're third or fourth or fifth down the line of hearing these stories, and it's just all, he turns into Ghost Rider on a motorcycle, and it's just absolutely nutty. But people sitting around the campfire sharing about it, so they all share little stories about what's going on and who he is and his history and why he's doing what he does and all that. And I will say, like, there's a mysterious character at the beginning that's listening to these campfire stories, and if you've read Weapon Brown, there are some hints as to who that character is, which is very fun. I picked up on it nearly right away, almost immediately. Thought it was really, and then you're just kind of like, okay, did I figure this out or didn't I? And I did, which not bragging or anything, but I did. And then boom. So then he's got sketchbooking gallery in here too. So the characters, and I don't want to give much away. And you got a little extra in here with the epilogue, which is super fun. Really good too. Really, I think I actually liked the epilogue more than the book. I don't know. I think it was actually my favorite part of the Aftershock. And then we also got annotations in here with all the stuff. I mean, this was a shorter book, and dang, it's got pages of annotations. And then boom, we got acknowledgments of the people who backed it. So I'm in there too. And then we got our friend Jason again. Bam. And then there we go. So there is Weapon Brown and Weapon Brown Aftershock by Jason Yungbluth. All right, so that was the overview of Weapon Brown and Weapon Brown Aftershock. You don't, like I said before, you don't need to read Aftershock. It was just a good continuation, fun, interesting continuation of the story, and kind of does a little bit of a wrap up and goes into the kind of the mythic nature of Weapon Brown, as it were, whereas the whole major story is just right there in Weapon Brown. You know what? I first started reading this years ago when I had first heard about it, and I was able to pick it up and grab it. And I started reading it. I'm like, this is really weird. And you know what? I think I just had to sit with it for a while and understand. And finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to read this. I think it sounds interesting at this point, because a lot of times when you're reading books, it's not the right time for you to read that genre or that story. And you know what? I am all for taking a break from a book or just putting a book down and coming back to it however long later. I think this was maybe 2 years later, I finally got to reading Weapon Brown and picked it up, started from the beginning again, and kind of skimmed the first, I don't know, like 50 pages, because that's about how far in I had gotten, and got caught back up, reset it in my brain, and just blazed through it. Such a different read. I don't want to say it was like my favorite read. It wasn't a bad read. It was a really cool, interesting, such a cool, different take of taking these different characters that like I've personally grown up with my entire life. These comic strip characters, now it's Halloween, so you have like Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin and Thanksgiving and Charlie Brown Christmas. I grew up on all of those and reading the comic strips, and there are comic strip characters and old school toon characters that appear in these books that I was not expecting at all. I'm trying not to say too much about them because it was such an interesting surprise and like really cool surprise when these characters popped up. So you might have noticed them in the flip through, but I'm trying not to draw too much attention to it and do too many spoilers because it's super interesting. But yeah, if you can find the trade paperback or the hardcover is a great addition too. But if you can't find that because you know what, it's pretty out of print, pretty expensive, jump on that trade paperback, definitely worth it. And because there's only the trade paperback version of Aftershock, you're going to have a nice little matching set of trade paperbacks for the whole series. So definitely not a story or books to miss out on. Very cool. Highly recommended if you're into a little bit of a more, if you're looking for, maybe not into, because I've never really been into that, but sometimes it just kind of fits that need that you have with like, just, I need something a little bit like weird and gritty and dark and just not quite horror, but just like, I need something very different, and that's what this story was. And it was very cool. If you follow Jason on his Instagram and all those things, you're gonna see a lot of stuff like that. Some of it's not safe for work, so be careful, fair warning. But yeah, so definitely check it out. Make sure to, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, do all those things. They help support my channel and keep me going and, you know, all those great things. But you know what, the most important thing to do besides any of those things, really the most important thing to do is comment. Let me know what like the weirdest book that you have read was. Were you able to actually get through it? Did you have to take a break and come back to it like I had to do? And then when you're in the right mindset and right mood for it, let me know in the comments. Love finding out about these off the wall, crazy, different, very cool takes. So let me know in the comments. All right, that's it. Take care. Stay cool.